right, everybody. Ted Cluck, welcome back to the show. Good to see you today.
Good to see you as well.
Here we are, live in the studio with our fabulous new guest, Makayla Madison.
Hi.
Welcome.
Thank you.
We're so glad that you're here.
I'm happy to be here. I didn't even know that there was a podcast, and then you were like, "Will you be a guest?" And I was like, "Oh my gosh, yes, of course."
Our profile is rising out there, but there are still a couple people in the world, I guess, who don't know that we do this. But yeah.
Well, we're glad to have you, and we are recording this in the month of February. It is Scholars of Excellence Month here on campus.
Yes,
Ted helps.
true.
I have had my fair share in history
Yeah.
of helping with scholars, and you won our competition last year.
Yes.
Okay, before we dig into that, tell everybody where you're from, maybe your family, how you found Union, and then we're going to dive into your experience
Yeah.
of where we are today.
Perfect.
Okay.
So I'm from Chattanooga, and that's like 4 hours east of here. And I grew up there with my family. I'm the oldest of 7, so I have come from a big family. We technically actually live in Georgia now because my parents own land, so I live in a rural area. We have a few chickens that we try to keep alive.
Stop.
And
Are you good at the chicken thing? No, really.
Oh no, I don't touch them.
Yeah, yeah.
Who loves them in the family? Your mom or your dad?
My dad, but he just wants the eggs.
Oh,
Sure.
Yeah, so, but we try. It's been a lot of trial and error because we're city people trying to be country people.
Oh,
That's
So-
wild, dude. So I feel like there's a bit of overlap between like Christian families and raising chickens.
yeah.
I've
that's
never
true.
tried it myself,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, no, you're 100% right.
They don't do what they're supposed to do for us. They fly.
Yeah.
Chickens aren't supposed to fly. They fly for
Wild.
us.
Yeah,
into
yeah.
the trees. We've lost quite a few. It's just
Are your parents going to stick with it, you think, the country lifestyle?
every time my dad's like, "We figured it out. I know the secret." So we get another batch and we try again. So
This is
it's-
incredible.
I love it,
Yeah, it's been a lot, but it's been fun.
That
Yeah.
is fun. It's an experience.
Oh yeah.
for sure.
Oh yeah. For
It's
sure.
an experience. Okay, the oldest of 7. What in the world? Can't imagine that. How did you find Union? Because I think that like that line between, that tip of where you are in Tennessee down to Georgia, like it's just far enough away.
That you.
And I would imagine a family of 7, y'all are probably pretty tight and close. So how did you find us?
I honestly think I just got an email
Oh.
reaching out saying, "Hey, if you can apply for free within the next 24, 48 hours." And
Oh wow!
I-
Look at email doing its job.
Right?
I know. Shout out Dan Griffin, my guy.
Oh my gosh!
And I know I was applying to a lot of schools at the time, and so I was keeping up with that stuff.
Okay.
And
well, good for you.
I looked at the website, and I was like, I don't have any schools like this. I can apply for free. Why not?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and that was that. I'm pretty sure, I really do think that the Lord had a hand in me seeing that and actually deciding
Yeah.
to do it because I didn't do that often.
Yeah.
But something just told me, I was like, something seems different about this school. I'm just
And
going to apply.
You hadn't been on campus.
No, I didn't know anything about Union.
Did you come to campus for a visit?
No.
So Scholars of Excellence was your first experience with Union.
Yeah.
Okay, let me pause and say that Scholars of Excellence is a competition for our seniors in high school that have a very high ACT score. Bravo to you. And so this is like the best of the best students coming on campus for 24, 36 hours
Yeah.
to compete for our best scholarships. And
Competitive talk. It's kind
Listen,
of wild.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I already said that you won. Okay, so holy smokeroonies, and I had forgotten that you had not even been here before.
Yeah,
So
that was new.
that's crazy. So you come to campus on that February Friday, whatever weekend you came, first or second weekend. Did you know right away, like, oh, I really like this place? Let's talk about your experience that weekend with us and what you thought. And then I need the two of you all to talk about the hot topic
Yes.
that you
Yeah,
would
for
have
sure.
had a part of your competition.
Okay. So when I first came, I think in my head, I was excited about what it was going to be because I knew these types of discussions are things that I would like. But the main thing on my mind was I got to come with my mom, and it was just the two of us. And so I remember just being super excited because it was an opportunity just to be at a school with her. We hadn't toured a whole lot of schools, and so I was looking forward to enjoying Union with her. And then we kind of got here, and so I'm just kind of going along with the flow. It was the campus immediately felt really welcoming, for sure, in a way that no other school had before that. And I think that everyone was, when I think back to it, I probably took it for granted because everyone was like this.
Yeah.
But the level of just like embracing that people had for me and just helping, it was so smooth, it was so easy. And so it just flowed right in and just got started.
Wow.
So yeah, but it was amazing when I really think about it.
Wow.
Special dinner that first night at Scholars. You know, you're at my table. Full disclosure.
Isn't that
What's
wild?
your favorite memory of that? Like specifically, like me at the table.
Yeah. I don't know if they're. I feel like you're fishing for something.
Yeah. No way. I would never do that.
She doesn't know what Dr. Dub talked about. She only knows what your conversation was. Just between the two of you.
Yeah, it was nice. I remember meeting your mom, and I remember we had a nice chat. So yeah.
I mean, I will go ahead and say I am sitting with two of the people who were most influential on me during that time. Like that conversation actually was very. It was very inspiring for me as you shared what you've done. And I was thinking about how much I want to be a writer, and you just talked about how you express yourself that way and just jumping on all of these different ideas and turning them into something. And so that definitely stuck with me.
Yeah. Well, the Lord's been kind, and it's fun to talk about it, and it's fun to humanize something that can be a little bit intimidating. And whenever I host those tables for scholars, I just try to kind of calm everybody down and let them know that, like, they're not on stage for that, and we can talk about whatever we want to talk about, and it's a nice time. But Scholars involves a lot of like moments where you are evaluated. So like the hot topic moment, the essay moment. Were you nervous, or were you just kind of like, hey, I'm kicking the tires on this thing. I'm out with my mom. I'm away from the chickens. Or are there nerves for you in those moments?
I think that the first time that I maybe felt a little nervous was the night before, because I realized, okay, this is kind of a big deal. Like, you know, there's a lot of people here. All of these students are very qualified. And so I think, like, I hadn't, because of how much I had been doing at the time, I didn't prepare a whole lot for it, which I actually have been telling students who have asked me. I think that was actually beneficial.
Yeah. Well, you can overprepare, overthink.
Get in your own head.
But it was very fresh at the time, because I read the essay on the way here, and then the night before I looked at a few of the hot topics I wasn't as familiar with, and I think at that point I was like, oh wait, if I get this one I might not be ready, so let me try to and so I started feeling a little nervous, but once you actually get into it and you get started, it's kind of like,
it's fun.
Yeah, exactly. So that was how it felt.
That's awesome. Yeah, Hot Topic, I used to host those.
I know, and I love that you did that.
Well, it was a lot of fun, but it's a tough room to manage in that there's how many students in the room? Like 15, maybe 12?
Yeah, I want to say I had maybe a little bit less, maybe 10.
Yeah, and as a Hot Topic host, you introduce the topic, and you're trying to be a point guard and like dish and make sure everybody gets their touches. But it's tough in a room like that, because you've got kids who have like the whole spiel prepared, and then you've got some who are a little more reticent, a little more shy, and you're trying to bring everybody out and give everybody a chance to shine a little bit. But how did you handle like being in a room like that? And clearly you did it well, and you were gracious, and you knew kind of, you know, when to talk and when to lay back. But what was that like for you?
I think that I realized that, okay, I don't need to feel the need to talk first every time. Sometimes I did.
Yeah, sure.
But it really started with just listening, trying to get my bearings, because I wasn't sure where everything was going to go. And so I remember my first conversation was the essay discussion. And I think that I had Dr. Hewlin for that conversation, and he threw it out there. He just said, hey, what do y'all think? Like, what were some of your initial thoughts? And so people just started talking. And so at the beginning, I was just really kind of piggybacking, and people would say things that's like, oh, that reminds me of this. And so when I had something that I actually wanted to say, that was when I spoke. And also tried to engage the people around me.
Yeah, that's good.
And respond to them, take it a little bit further.
She's a pro.
And so it was very conversational, and so that was much more comfortable.
I think that is such a market opportunity right now, you know, because we tend to bring in the kind of student where you can wind them up and they bloviate for 7 minutes about anything, but like the ability to do this at a high level is the kind of opportunity, you know. So for you, being able to like talk and listen and build off what somebody else has said, and I remember that at the dinner, just like the ability to have a conversation that's magical and good is so rare, you know. And so I always want students in my program who can do this and do it at a high level. So elephant in the room, I just got to do it. When are you changing your major to journalism? Because I'm always selling.
But yes. But what is your major now?
It is currently political science.
Okay, because
That's a fine major.
That's
You know,
fine.
if you-
It's okay.
Yeah, it's okay. It's
That's
whatever.
fine.
But yeah,
Because
yeah.
you want to go to law school. Have you always known that? Did you know that that's what you wanted to do when you came to Union?
Law school was in my mind when I came to Union for sure. I figured that out through mock trial. I absolutely
looky there.
loved it. And so that was like, okay, I think I want to do this.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but you have this love for journalism and writing. Tell us a little bit about. Can you talk to us a little bit about what you send out? You try to do it every 3 weeks.
Right.
Does Ted get this writing?
I don't
think I
think so,
do.
but you could.
I
for
would like to.
sure.
It's a
Yeah,
deep
sign me up.
dive. Isn't that what you call it?
Yeah, I
A
call them
Okay.
deep dives.
Deep dives. Okay, so where does that love of writing come from? You need to get on her email list.
Yeah, so what are you writing about
Yeah.
in these deep dives?
So the deep dives they're going to be a ton of different topics, mostly taken from a biblical perspective. Some might be a little bit history.
Yeah.
Some of them are just ideas. Some of them are heavy research. It just depends. So I started out with one called The Bread of Life. That was the first release. And that one was about the significance of bread symbolically in the Bible. The one that I just released a couple days ago was called Music and Morality. Do Lyrics Matter?
Oh, interesting.
And so it's going into how do we determine what we listen to based on the Bible? Is it objective? Giving some cultural examples, things
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
But I started that. I think that just having questions,
Yeah.
just having interesting conversations with people, and I left like there's questions that I don't have answered, and I also could really get lost in just researching and writing. If it was something I wanted to do and it wasn't for school is another story.
Right.
Sometimes you don't want to do that, but for this, I just would get lost in it and just enjoyed it so much.
I think that's what writers do. I mean, we get lost in our natural curiosities, and then we find the connective tissue
Right.
between what I love and what I care about, and what an audience might love and care about, and that's the magic of journalism. But political science is fine too. You know, I'm not mad about it. You know, we'll see. Maybe we'll talk off the air about
We could continue
how
the
valuable a
conversation.
journalism major is
Yeah.
for pre-law. But
My ears are open.
no, I know it. I love that. I do love that. So no, that's great. Add me to the list.
For sure.
Now I'm curious. Where did you arrive on the music and morality piece? What was your
Yeah.
takeaway?
So the takeaway from that was that there is an objective standard for what we entertain ourselves with. And that's based on when we look at, do we see the fruits of the Spirit or do we see the fruits of the flesh? And so based on Galatians 5 in books from James, chapters from James, it's like, okay, we see these are the works of the flesh. Is the music we're listening to promoting that? Is it influencing us towards that? Or is it influencing us towards what is good and what's godly and righteous? And then to take it a step further is the spiritual side of what we support, because we have this war between good and evil. And so when people are putting out content, they're supporting one kingdom or the other. And so since we're on the side of our Heavenly Father, we want to actually be supporting His kingdom with what we entertain ourselves with, because it's honestly, in a way, a form of worship. And you could, even to visualize it, you're giving energy, you're giving support towards something when you choose to entertain.
You know, I'll never
it.
forget going to a Metallica concert years ago, and it was a funny story because we were going to this church, and there was this doctor who was quite old, but he had a teenage son who was a little bit wayward, you know, and the doctor paid me $100 to take his kid to a Metallica concert. I was
Really?
young, and I would have done it for free, but so he pays me to take this kid to this show, and as I was sitting there listening to the music, and I love Metallica. But it was a worship experience, you know, 20,000 people pumping their fist in unison, knowing the lyrics. It is a form of worship. So I think you're onto something.
Yeah,
for
I
sure.
think that this one meant a lot to me because of I've been both pretty far on the bad side of being influenced by music
Sure.
that was not good for me, and I saw how strongly it influenced my mind. It was a big barrier between me and understanding how God wants us to live, because I was pumping my mind with examples and narratives of life without Him. And so once I realized that, I was like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to share.
Don't you think that all secular narratives, including songs, are in their own broken ways, like theologies of what makes a good life, right? And it's either true or untrue in light of what we know to be true from Scripture. But you know, a lot of the movies, a lot of the shows, a lot of the songs that we consume are trying to understand what makes a good life. And really, college is about helping you understand, you know, what a good life could look like. And hopefully we do that well here, you know, in terms of like creating an environment where we make much of Christ in the classroom, but also creating an environment where you can be you can get the most excellence out of your talent. You know what I mean? And that would be foundational in my program. I'm sure it is in poli-sci too, but this idea that if you're called to compete at the highest level, that you could go out and do it. And there's nothing junior varsity about coming to a Christian college or studying at a place like this, that you could be imbued with the skills to go and do that. But also with a discernment that says, you know, how do I handle this in light of Christ?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So good. Let's talk about, let's stay on the music
Okay.
for just a minute, because you love music personally because you can play the piano.
Yes.
Give us a little bit of background on that, and you are really gifted in music.
Oh, thank you.
So talk to us about how music, where did that come from? Where did that love, where was that born in your life? And how do you find yourself being able to sit down and play the piano today?
How do you know she's gifted in music? I didn't know that.
There's a story
there's
there.
a story.
Okay,
I can tell the
let's
story.
let's get it. Let's hear it.
So I think this was maybe Accepted Students Day.
It was orientation.
Orientation, okay. My whole family was up, and we were just about to leave campus, and I was like, I want to find the music rooms because, you know, I've got to practice. Once I start school, that's a deal breaker. Well, I think I'd already accepted, but like I needed the rooms. I needed the rooms. And so I was like, we're going to find them, and we were not finding them. And I think that, correct me if I'm wrong, but I was just outside, and I think I ran into you.
We just literally ran into
and
one
you
another.
just, you know, everyone knows you have the most welcoming smile. And so I was like, I feel like I can ask her. And so I came up to you, and I was just like, hey, do you know where the music rooms are? And you were like, yeah, Jennings. And so
that's all
Jennings
I knew.
on first floor?
But
I'm on the third floor.
I had never seen the music rooms. I knew they were there on the first floor, but I was like, well, that's where we're going to go, and we're going to find them. And we
so,
did.
we went on a little scavenger hunt, and we found the recital hall and quite a few other rooms, and then we found the practice rooms, and my mom was like, you got to play something. And so I did, and that's how she knows I play piano.
Wow.
Oh, did she sit
What'd you
down
play?
and play?
I played Rosemary's Theme from The Giver.
Okay.
The movie.
Yeah, I've seen that movie.
Yeah, it's good.
I read the book like 20 years ago.
Love
and
that
I saw the movie a
series.
long time ago. Yeah. Wow, very cool.
Did you happen to have sheet music when you sat down to play?
No, I have to. So the way I was trained, we were never allowed to use the book, so you have to memorize.
Ted.
Fran, do you play any music?
No.
No? Not even piano lessons when you were a kid?
Yes,
And you went begrudgingly and, you know.
Yes, I did.
didn't-
I can read music.
Okay.
I think if I sat down, I'd love to take piano again.
Yeah.
I'd love to be able to do that. I played the clarinet in up to maybe 8th, 9th grade.
First chair?
I was first chair.
Were you first
Yes,
chair?
You're
See,
welcome, everyone.
You're downplaying your
I know.
musical.
But I
Okay.
love music. I
Yeah.
love the power of it. I love the beauty of it. And I love to literally just stumbled upon and was surprised at the fact that this was more than just let me find out where the music rooms are. She sat down and played without anything in front of her. And it was just gorgeous. It was absolutely gorgeous. And I remember standing outside the room talking to your mom. And just, I know I said the same thing over and over. I just kept saying, this is incredible. What a gift that she has. You need to be able to play. You need to be able to have access to this space. And I know that it's hard, like once you're here as a student, but just knowing that it's there, you can walk down there. I don't think all the rooms would be reserved at one time, and you could go play.
What about pianos in every dorm room?
Wouldn't that be
We could
something?
talk to Rick Taphorn on the way out. His office is downstairs now.
Wouldn't. Or it could be a bonus. You know,
Yeah.
it could be an add-on.
There you go.
It could be an add-on.
Yeah.
For an extra however many dollars, you get a piano.
I might drive my neighbors crazy,
Nah.
but that would be so fun.
It'd be like open dorm hours. There's only certain hours that you can
Open
play.
piano hours.
Open
Yeah. Also 4-year robes. Remember that? Yeah.
Listen, maybe we need to, go to Senate. The next time there's a Senate, you can.
I'm in. We could all just
Oh,
go
man,
and
yeah.
pass a bill.
I know.
That'd
Fran,
be fun.
we should go to Senate as emissaries for this podcast.
Listen,
because
we should.
we need more to do for
We
free.
should.
Yeah.
We totally should. We totally should.
It meets at a really sensible hour, like 10 p.m.
Yes.
on Tuesday.
Yes.
So,
Right when we're at our best.
Absolutely.
We are
Yeah.
at our best.
Peak.
Yes,
Yeah.
peak time. Okay, so you make it through. Let's go back to scholars. You make
Okay.
it through the weekend. You clearly did well. Did you have a sense at the end of that Saturday, like, oh, I think I did pretty good? Were you looking at that as well as just continuing to figure out who Union was? What were you thinking at the end of that Saturday?
Yeah, so as far as how I did, there was no way in my mind to quantify it.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I enjoyed it. I feel like it went well, but as far as like comparing, I couldn't tell. And I remember telling my mom, like, everyone here is qualified. It could be anyone. I realized in my first discussion, it was like, okay, the people here love the same stuff, like they want to do this. So this is like, this floor is just filled with people who are engaged with this. And so it was like, okay, well, these are my type of people, but as far as trying to be competitive, I was like, that's not gonna happen. And so so afterwards I was like, I mean, it could be me, but there's nothing that would make me think it is necessarily. But I definitely was thinking about Union a lot.
What
after
other
that.
schools were you thinking about? What were your top 3 schools? I mean, Union is emerging at the end of that weekend.
Yeah,
But what
yeah,
was
literally
also,
was put up on my list.
what was alive and well out of other schools?
I think at that time I still really wanted to go to Vanderbilt.
Okay.
There was a time
Never
I
heard of
was
Oh, no.
Man.
Yeah.
Okay.
and I think I'd been there before. It definitely felt different. I felt a little bit like a fish out of water, but I still wanted to go. Second was Barry. I think I went to Barry after Scholars. And then after that, maybe UGA.
Okay.
I was open to.
And it was always pre-law. You were always going to major in something that would get you to law school.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think at the time I was really thinking writing. Political science was in the back of my head, but what changed
This writing,
was...
it's still coming up, Ted.
Yeah. What changed was I looked at what I would actually be studying, because I wanted to write because I wanted to write.
Okay.
But then I looked at actual content, and I was like, okay, this is stuff, international relations, constitutional law, government is the type of stuff that I've been really trying to focus on in high school, and I was like, I want to continue that.
I love this.
So yeah, it kind of has a place in my heart a little bit.
I love this.
know.
That's
No,
okay.
this is good.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's not personal. I mean...
It is, but it isn't.
Yeah, I know. It just cuts like a knife. But you know what? I'll survive.
He'll survive.
One
myself
day
together.
I'm gonna pop up in his class.
Pop
I'm
up,
going to.
Pop up.
Oh,
yeah,
I
we'd love to
it.
have you.
I
Love to
do.
have you.
You will. And just in a class, I think you're definitely going to arrive in one of Cluck's classes. Okay.
sure.
Well, how did you, like, you find out that you win? Like, you win. You were notified. You talk to the right people. You talk to Dub. You get all the...
How do they deliver that message?
So that's a funny story. So Dr. Dub always calls the winner.
Nice.
And until like a week, maybe the week before last, if you asked me who told me who won, it was not Dr. Dub. I was so certain that someone else had called me. And there had been a name thrown up at the time. I don't remember how it happened. My memory must be erased. But I did not know that I was talking to Dr. Dub when I heard. And there was nothing in my head, like no recollection of it being him. I remembered the conversation. He remembered the conversation, but I thought it was someone else. And so we had a really good laugh over that, and there was a lot of betting over who was right. Like, because I had told some people, I was like, yeah, Dr. Dubin called me, and then they went and talked to him. He was like, yeah, I talked to Makayla. And so...
That hurts his feelings a little bit, you know, tough.
And so I was so confused. I was racking my brain, but I was like, if I talked to the president, I would have known.
Yeah.
And so we finally...
Phone calls are kind of jarring, though. Just to get a phone call, like, out of the blue.
We don't do that.
No, we don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I knew the call was happening. I just didn't know it was him.
Yeah,
I thought I was having a financial aid conversation,
Right.
and I never heard his name. Like, I must
Yes.
have missed it. I don't know if I put the phone to my ear
Yeah.
slow.
Yeah.
But yeah, we sat at a basketball game the other day and talked it out, and I realized, okay, you knew where I was at the time, so it was definitely you.
That's awesome.
And so I remember just being pretty speechless when he told me.
I bet.
And I was just so shocked. And then, we
You
talked
didn't
for a
say
little
yes
bit.
right away.
No, I didn't. I remember getting off the call, I think I said that I'd have to think about it, I'd have to pray about it.
Fair enough.
And and then I did.
How much time went by before you did you call him back? Did you call your enrollment counselor back?
I accepted it on, I believe, Accepted Students Day, but I had a meeting with him before that day.
Okay.
Because I wanted to ask some questions, and then after that conversation, I went and told my enrollment counselor.
Okay.
And I think, you asked me, did you ask me something?
Just like how much time went by. 'Cause
Oh,
I know that
yeah.
everyone was like sitting on the edge of their seat going, oh no, what if she doesn't accept it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I realized after the fact how much I put people through
Yes.
because it was a long
There was
time.
a lot of sweating and, anxiety
Yeah.
was through the roof, I'm sure.
Yeah, it was, I think, over a month.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. But good for you. I do appreciate the thoughtfulness and just being prayerful and mindful and not rushing into that, because you had several schools, which every scholar that comes to compete in this competition, they have lots of schools to choose from. And I appreciate that you didn't just rush into that and give a quick yes.
Yeah, I did. Definitely something had stuck out to me about Union, unlike any other school, when I realized what Christian education really means. But I didn't want to accept it just because of the scholarship.
Yeah, well, good for you.
And so, but as I looked back, it was like, whoa, I really see the path that God so clearly
I
laid
love
to
this.
this school. And then it was like, oh yeah, it was easy saying
Oh,
yes.
man. Okay, Ted will also appreciate this.
Yeah.
Let's talk about debate.
Oh yeah, here at Union.
Yes, she's
Okay.
on the debate team.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes. What has that experience been like? And was this new to you? Did you do any of this in high school?
Not debate specifically.
Okay.
I did mock trial.
Okay, yes.
But it's a whole nother thing. Both deal with public speaking, but
Right.
very different
Right.
experience.
Right.
So no, debate itself and like the format that we do with IPDA is very different, and it was new. I took a class last semester to help prepare for it with Dr. Whitaker, and that was so much fun, and it was mostly with my teammates. And I have absolutely loved it. I realized the other day how much I think I've grown in confidence with speaking because of it, because when you're doing debate, you get a resolution and you have 30 minutes to prepare it, whether you've heard of this or not, or whether you stuck to a topic and it might as well be another language. And so you have 30 minutes to prepare your case, and then you just go present it. And it sounds crazy, but you kind of get used to it. But I realized so much, how much I've grown with just being able to speak confidently, with trying to research how to persuade. And I think that nothing but debate would have like gotten me in that way so quickly, I guess.
We should have framed this podcast episode as a debate.
Imagine.
Yeah, that would have been wild, huh?
Yeah.
Who do you think would win a debate between me and Frank?
We need a res first.
Yeah, we need a res, a little resi,
Don't
you
know.
know. Because certain topics I'm going to have dialed, but other ones I might be a little in the dark, you know. What would be your strongest
Oh,
topic?
I have no idea. I'd be terrified because
Pop culture, 80s music?
maybe,
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah,
know,
that'd be
because
good.
I, on the spot or without a lot of time to prepare and think, my brain can shut down and I'm like, I don't know anything about anything all of a sudden. I'm one that needs like a slow, I need lots of time to sit in something and really get my mind wrapped around it and think and consider the subject. So 30 minutes of preparation, it could be about my family and I'd be like,
Don't know their names. I
don't know.
Yeah.
who?
Yeah.
You know, I just, that's not my, I'm not
Yeah.
my best then. Or I thought you were going to say we could have this could be a comm arts podcast because this girl is, you are loving and thriving in a lot of things that falls into Ted's world. And
That's true.
That's true.
okay.
None that fall into my classes.
No, but you know
again,
what?
not bitter. You know, it's a journey. Yeah.
What
It's a
class-
journey. We'll
That's
get
right.
there.
What class should she take? Where would you tell her that she needs to start and why? Because
Yeah.
this is a lot of people. A lot of people like maybe love to write,
Yeah.
but maybe they want to maybe minor in journalism or just take a lot of
Yeah.
electives. I don't know.
Well, I mean, our whole thing is about making product for audiences that actually exist, right? So I have them put off the idea of writing papers because papers don't really have audiences. They have an audience of one teacher, right? So we take off that idea. We put on the idea of making product. There are marketplaces that actually exist in the real world for these products, and then the program is a process of like mastering the different kinds of products. So the long form immersive piece, the memoir, the essay collection, the long interview, the feature story, the voicey short opinion piece. We do all these things in the program, all of which I think you would enjoy. But I think the fillet of the program is a class that I call immersion journalism. I was going to call it creative nonfiction, but English already has that class, so I made an unholy alliance with them, and I changed the name. But it's really a creative nonfiction class. We read a memoir, we read an essay collection, and then we read a immersive journalistic piece, and then you guys write your own 40-plus page manuscript. So it's a lot of writing, a lot of reading, but it's so much fun. And people grow the most as writers in that class. So,
It sounds like a class that does not feel like work.
No, it doesn't.
Like
it doesn't feel
fun.
like work for me. I get to talk for a living about stuff that I love to read and write. I mean, what could be better than that? So,
That's good.
Yeah.
I bet she signs up for it.
I bet.
At some point in
I
time.
hope
She
so.
signs up for it.
Yeah.
Okay, as we conclude, I mean, you're a whole few months into this union thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it still feels like it's weird because I think you're at a point where I feel like I've been here forever, but I feel like I've been here 2 days. It just happens so fast, and so much is happening so fast. What are your what do you has anything changed about how you feel about union? Are we still who you thought we were, or maybe where have we surprised you in a really good way? Like, I wasn't expecting this. And what would you say to a scholar or anybody that's interested in this university?
Yeah. Okay. Man, so many good things to try to choose from. I think that there has been definitely a progression of getting to be more involved in the community. I think that first semester I was just trying to figure out everything, of course, trying to get my bearings, going to classes, getting involved in debate, and it was just like starting to build relationships. This semester I realized just what a fertile ground there is for that. And a lot of the relationships that I started in the first semester, those seeds that were planted, especially for spiritual connection, are starting to grow. And it has been the most phenomenal thing, that like one of the best things I've gotten to experience. And so what I really learned was I had to be patient for that.
Yeah.
But I think that a lot of the reasons that I chose union and that other people choose union, you've got to be patient to be able to establish those connections in that community, because a lot of people come because they're desiring to be in a Christian environment, and you want to reap the benefits of that unity, of that support. And as you give it time to just germinate and grow, then it can become just the most beautiful garden ever. And so I'm getting to experience that this semester, and I'm still enjoying my classes and all of that, but it's also to where I'm not just here for school anymore.
Wow.
And it's something about being here that even if I had the world's most boring classes, which, we don't have that many boring classes here, I'm warming up to math, but, even the professors.
I never warmed up to it, actually. So you're doing better than I did.
But the professors themselves, I haven't had a single professor who I haven't enjoyed. But I really think that that's just part of the experience, and a big part of it is getting to be with these other students. And as I've gotten to see their hearts, and we've gotten to start praying together consistently, and just hearing what's going on with them, and people have just opened up to where it's like friendships really mean something. They're bringing us closer to God. And that's something that is just, I'm realizing, is all around me, and not just in a small little piece. And so that just changes. You just walk outside and it just looks different.
Man, she's just a freshman.
That's a perfect word to end on.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm
yeah,
so
really good.
thankful for you and so very proud of you. And I cannot wait to see how the next 3 years play out. Absolutely incredible. What a gift you are. We are lucky to have you. I'm glad that the Lord led you here.
Thank you. Me too.
Yeah.
And I'm so blessed to get to be here and to have you all. You all are just such inspirations to me. And so I really appreciate it.
Do you fear that you've been to the mountaintop now, that you've done this podcast? There's kind of nowhere else.
There's nowhere to go. This is the peak of my experience.
Right.
I can walk out
just
now.
hang it up, walk out. It's been a good run.
Listen, when you walk out of some massive courtroom trial lawyer situation and somebody asks you, where did all this begin?
Fran and Ted. Yeah.
Just say the
Or Ted
Union.
and Fran.
The
You can say
Union
my name first.
podcast.
Yes.
The Union podcast is
Yeah,
really
yeah.
where it all began.
It's true. It's the magic.
It's one for the books for sure.
For sure.
Oh, this is so great. As always, everybody, we are so thankful that you listened to another episode of Let's Talk About That, a Union University podcast. Y'all have a great day.